This is øwns, better known by his online username Vernam, a Russian creator, founder, and former leader of cherryteam alongside his co-ownership of the layout creating team TSC. Throughout his many long-year career in the community, he has proven himself to have one of the most eccentric and a little bit of an enigmatic personalities in all of Geometry Dash history. I'd even go as far as to say he's the biggest villain we've ever seen in this game. Yes, bigger than any cheaters, any pedophiles, any racists, or any incompetent developers. The biggest villain. This guy and his ability to either instigate drama or insert himself into dramas remind me a lot of Keemstar and his endless antics as well. To begin our story, Vernam started playing in September 2013. However, he didn't do much for a couple of years. It's not until late 2015, under the name 1Ultra, that he would begin showing his work and completions on YouTube. Here's his first level from 2014, showing that he's quite the OG player here. Now, he has changed name many times from 2015 to 2018, from Bitard Ill, Louis Bitard to 13 Saturn. It's actually under this 13 Saturn name that his first drama first rose. He cheated unnerved Secupin circles. Yes, that's Secupin circles. I don't know why, but Russians love this level so much that even back in the good old days, when nobody cared about it, these guys still have high completions of it. Now, looking back, it's blatantly obvious that this video is a joke completion that some people took way too seriously. This kind of thing is a classic cheater type completion with misaligned clicks, unprofessional gameplay, and playing on a version where he nerfed the doubles, but not the spam. Personally, this is nothing special, as Russian hackers like this are dime a dozen. In the time of people like Wargak and Exen, this guy is nothing. There are some much less lighthearted dramas happening within RC though, as 13 Saturn runs a VK group GDNA, a thriving community to this day. However, they had various conflict with another VK group, VKGD, which caused that group to dissolve and negatively impact 13 Saturn's rep, which might explain why he changed his name to Vernam. Now, in late 2018, Vernam would upload his first video to his current main channel, if that was actually the first one. You see, there was roughly 2.5 years worth of content preceding this first video that is currently unavailable. It turns out this is because the main Vernam channel originally didn't belong to him at all, but rather to another YouTuber by the name of Bloody Spikes, someone who was one of the first GD news channel out there. Throughout 2018, however, Bloody would slowly lose his motivation to continue running the channel, so Vernam helped with making the videos, and eventually ownership was transferred by the time this video was uploaded. 1 month after Vernam's first video, cherryteam, formerly seen here as cherryBT, would be created. Originally just a small clan, the group would eventually expand to an entire team on December 31st, 2018. Their first progress regarding Dash and Explodes, their first level, would be shown to the world, marking a debut of one of the biggest creating group in Geometry Dash. 2019 was the first year cherryteam saw their spike in popularity, starting with their 2 top-level projects, Shinigami and Firework. This was my first introduction to them and their work. Looking back, Shinigami was kinda lit, though Firework still stands as my favorite cherry level. I guess the reason why is because Firework is in that sweet spot where it isn't a broken mess like Dash and Explodes, but also it isn't like over-polished or over-stimulating like their modern works. It's a level that still has some levels of roughness to let you breathe in the experience. It's a very tame level, that's all I'm saying. Shinigami would end up being completely scrapped and reworked into something completely different due to the lack of motivation and the lack of clear teams. The version rated now is that rebooted project from so many years ago. Firework would be finished within 2019, though its verification journey would be a terrifyingly complex series of drama, until it was mercifully 2-tapped by Trick in late October 2021. Unfortunately, it wasn't the hardest verified level, and it was the hardest rated level for only 17 seconds. This is probably why cherryteam never stopped dreaming of having that top 1 ever since that day. Shinigami, Firework, and Cosmos Unleashed are just the more well-known ones, as the cascade of top 1 in their title never stops. I thought that's all they did in 2019, but it turns out Vernam was using his power to potentially dox people. According to Technical, Vernam was saying that Tech, Andros, and TGI was destroying cherryteam, and he will make an expose on them for public lying, which, yeah, that tracks. Nothing ever happened after this small scuffle, though it was a bad sign for things to come. 6 days into the new decade and dramas have already started. Dolphie would end up verifying terrorists up to 62,000 attempts and a long race against Mosey. Wave of accusations would follow after, including Vernam himself, which would make sense as Dolphie isn't exactly a normal player. Here's how Ryder and IceK would describe his action around this time.
To this day. But the reason I dropped the topic was because he had basically, more or less, he had started threatening me, and I just basically said, all right, fuck off, like, let's just drop this topic, I don't want to deal with this shit. Because I don't want to like get my personal information leaked too.
And I'm not confident if he cheated specifically what. I have like, I think lucid nightmares is one of the worst ones. Or like cognition attempts, like the jumps in cognition. Like, Dolphie had a lot of weird stuff going on. And what people don't realize, this has been so swept under the rug and forgotten.
Oh my god.
The reason that Dolphie was like just sort of let off and let go is because guess what happened? Dolphie kept on saying, I'm going to make an anti-exposal, I'm going to make an anti-exposal. Then N-Level gets his house sent to him, which, again, I'm not saying Dolphie did that. No, just fucking people were crazy, and they did that for no reason. Yeah. But we banned, and by we, I mean I was on a demon list at the time. Dolphie got banned off the demon list initially for not sending us evidence. He refused to send us the evidence that we asked for. He kept on basically saying that we were trying to, like, paint him out as some villain when we were just like, dude, give us your raw footage. And he would refuse and refuse, and the one time that he did give us raw footage, it was his Ouroboros raw footage, and it was fucking edited. And the reason I knew it was edited is because I put it in an editor, and you know how like usually in completions what people do is they'll have the music, and then the music will die down and they'll add their clicks in?
Dude, are you telling me this?
He sent me that video without the clicks. You just hear the audio just decrease. I'm like, you just sent me the... Like, why? This isn't your raw footage. Like, why
do you remember what he said about the Audacity thing? Where he was...
Oh my god, not the fucking Audacity error.
Where he just keeps dodging the questions and just being like, sorry, go ahead.
He'd be a really good politician.
So I just want to bring up, and Nico, I know you know this because this happened like relatively recently, like within the last year, but we had a call with Vernam recently, like within the last year, and this topic got brought up again. And like something that the public has never seen is like the screenshots of Dolphie confessing to cheating Dardarus. Like he confessed. Now you could say they're fake confessions, but like all I'm saying is there are screenshots and like.
Really?
Like proof that he confessed. Now again, his confession could be fake. I'm just saying like these things happen. People just don't know about them.
Oh,
also, Vernam like proved that he botted his like firework progress video, like the original one. Remember?
Yeah, then retracted that. He said that like
I don't know. It's been such a.
The last two claims in particular are closely related to Vernam, as he's one of the main pieces of this whole controversy. For many years, Dolphie was considered legit. However, on January 18, 2026, his pointer crate profile was removed, returning Mosey back to the verifier spot again. This profile removal and revision of history happened 2 months after an even more serious crime has been exposed about him, being that he sent dick pics to a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old. And here's a video of him crying that he did jerk off to his ex-girlfriend. Needless to say, Dolphie's career is pretty much over by this point, though I think there should absolutely be some questions related to the relationship between him and Vernam. Did that list of the allegedly cheated completions that Dolphie supposedly created actually exist? As far as I know, that list had never truly been surfaced anywhere that I can find. People keep saying there's this leaked confession list, but it had been a rumor for nearly 2.5 years by then. For a leaked series of screenshots, why has these leaks never been publicized? The relationship between these two guys is also really flip-floppy. In that call with Vernam, his behavior was odd. He showed a bunch of screenshots that could end Dolphie's career right then and there, but then says that all of it was a lie.
Vernam threw us for a loop in that whole thing, because at first he was like on our side and being like, yeah, this.
That's how they get you.
Oh, I know all this info and all this that, and he'd show us, and then he'd be like, he'd just turn and be like, all I've been telling you is a lie. And we're like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Regarding the grooming, Vernam was giving out a lot of double talk as well. He's like, I can't talk to him anymore, he's an idiot, he's an asshole, he had a fight with his friends, I have my principles and I'm banning him from RC. If he ever comes back, I'm going to be vocally against him. But then in the same talk, he's like, I'm not the cops, okay? I'm willing to forgive him for those 2 girls. And then 5 months later, boom. Dolphie's in an event where RC beat Heliopolis. Not even one of the hardest top 1s out there. You could have picked Eternus or Lightmare or Silent Club Star.
I just creamed a little bit, I think. Oh.
What the fuck happened within those 5 months, Vernam? Did Dolphie prove his innocence? Did you forgive him? I thought he sent his dick to an 11 years old. And not only that, he quite literally tried to dox the two girls after the leaks came out. He's a menace to society, and I would not want him to be around. Having doxers in your community like that is not a good look, Vernam. Then again, here in this situation, we do see what Vernam's actual moral compass is. The keyword here is conditional. That would make so much sense. The first drama that put Vernam in the spotlight of the mainstream GD community was in August of 2020. According to Avo, Vernam and his friend openly assaulted a trans person on a live stream, and then, when pressured, he admitted to harassing gay people in real life. I found the video, though Vernam was not depicted in it. It was enough for people to hate him, however. Now, again, just like most thing related to this dude, a lot of infos tend to get deleted and or doesn't exist. All we have from Vernam's side is this video of him in the doorway, but the audio doesn't exist. The situation caused Vernam to leave cherryteam in a joking manner, gave the leadership to some dude named Highjump in a joking manner, and created a new team called God of Beer in a joking manner. Nothing more ever came of this situation. Some people say that what happened back then was a joke, though Mr. Rogaiza has never said anything beyond that point, so this situation might as well be a blip in his career. I'm going to skip over the whole feud between Vernam and the third fattest player on Pointer Crate, Kurumi, since most of this slap fight is your average conflict you see day in and day out in the community. You can go and read the whole situation on cherryteam's wiki. I won't go over it ever again. Besides, Kurumi, like, man, if you thought Vernam was bad, like, this dude is 10 times worse. What I'm actually going to talk about, however, happened instead in August. By then, Vernam was what I can only consider a high-tier Twitter addict. Despite deleting many of his Twitter accounts, he was quite a serial tweeter, picking fights with literally everything and everyone alive. He often says, I'm going to quit, I'm going to leave GD, I'm going to disappear, but he always comes back. He's like Bossman Jack, someone who knows what he did is deeply toxic and should stop, but that adrenaline rush is just too good to give up. These feuds typically don't spiral too much out of control. They usually stay entirely as stupid slap fights that didn't matter until Just a GD Player was a popular GD showcaser 5 years ago with 160,000 subscribers. In August, he first received a copy of Acheron, the not sequel to Taurus that was supposed to be verified by Wolves. Now JackDP has permission to showcase it, but then he gave it away to Exxon without permission. Then, in an even more idiotic move, Exxon gave it to Vernam, who then threatened to leak it. Why Vernam in particular wanted to leak this level confused me, but given that this guy was always on some type of hard drug, that would make some sense. Anyways, JackDP would apologize, though at some point he and Vernam supposedly either wanted to troll FMMO4 or save JackDP's reputation or something, so they staged this whole situation where Vernam would show up to JackDP's house with a fake gun and stand in front of the peephole for a while.
Just a GD player was very annoying in DM, so I decided to do a little troll on him. I took a fake gun and I knew his address, so I came to his house with the fake gun.
I would have said that this is a very funny prank and no harm was done, but then I remembered that JackDP blackmailed FMMO4 because it turns out Jack really likes them young. Now, he's not quite a deplorable pedophile, 15 years old to 12 years old, though it would have been funnier if Vernam has just two-tapped JackDP for real right then and right there. I think Vernam could probably two-tap some other people too, like Dolphie or Servax, but you know, we know that Vernam is really hanging around predators to see how their minds work. Of course, the year couldn't end without some level of stupidity coming from this dude. In December, Guitar Hero Styles messaging a 14-year-old his hard cock was the talk of the town, an action really no different than what Dolphie did 4 years later. For some unknown reason, from what I've heard, Vernam said, why couldn't Juniper comes out and expose him earlier? Which is strange because she's not the main victim. I honestly don't know where this narrative that she was a big name that was involved in the Advi style situation come from, because as far as I know, both his ex, the one who to expose him, and the 14-year-old whom Louis here had a 1-1 relationship with has nothing to do with Juniper. And yet, as far as I know, this narrative still persists to this day. You know, if you're going to smear people, at least do your research, man. Anyways, there's also a small drama against Webs because that dude stole Shinigami or something. I have no sympathy for Vernam here since, you know, it's not like 3 months earlier that guy was threatening to leak Acheron.
Весп, соси мой член.
So, 2022. there are some conflicts with Mafaka that I won't get into. Rather, I'm going to cover something a bit more serious in tone. In April 2022, Vernam would announce that he would leave Cherry due to misunderstanding with participants, conflicts, and lack of motivation. It should be noted just how much of a mess this guy's relationship with his own team was. I've talked about the time he left due to controversy back in 2020, but there's also another time when he said that Cherry Team was disbanded in June of 2021 just to revive them 4 months later. And no difference here. Even though he said that he would leave Cherry, he would still host many collabs related to the team, and eventually would return some point in mid-2023 and has not changed position ever since. Well, until this year, of course. Vernam has gone on record shitting on his own participants, calling them lazy and a waste of time. People in that group still wanted him back though, and it's probably not hard to see why. Vernam is a rich kid. He was born into a rich family in St. Petersburg. Them members needed the money to survive. I like to imagine that in a different timeline, he'd probably never have even heard of GD, though he'd still be as psychotic as he is in this timeline. I will admit, however, he does have a very thorough way of managing Cherry. It's a very strict but efficient system, which combined with the 335 members and paid staff, we'll talk about this later, would be why they can pump out so many levels so quickly. Anyways, nothing truly notable happened beyond this point. Vernam just went back to his regular scheduled rage baiting on Twitter for the rest of the year. In the first half of the year, nothing much really happened. It's not because he actually went away by any means. Conflicts still happen. It's just that most of these dramas happen entirely within the Cyrillic walls of Russia. In April, Vernam deactivated his Vernam Shinobi account and rebranded the main Cherry Team Twitter account, aka just Vernam on another account, to basically be his main account again under Alvi-Dash. It's only under the Alvi-Dash account that Vernam's antics would be at its peak. First, we have Cosmos, their remix of SPK's layout, a remake of Slaughterhouse, and a remake of the old Slaughterhouse. The level got verified by Trick at first, and then later had to be re-verified by Zoink on like another version or something. Here's a secret way at 6%. In July, Vernam went live on a stream where he criticized content creator Dolor, as well as Black Rose Teams and its admins Fox GD and Friar Jimmy for irresponsibility, hypocrisy, and cowardice. It turns out that these guys, alongside a bunch of other players, have been planning Vernam's death, which, according to organizers, was supposed to be the largest expose in the history of RC. Vernam joined the expose server and forced most of the participants to apologize to him. Fox GD, meanwhile, left the game altogether, deleting all his social media accounts in the process. In October, one of Cherry's best players, like GMD, tried to steal Waterfall, Firewar sequel from Lord Vadercraft. This happened just after Dynamite beat Eyes in the War, another Vader's verification in an extremely controversial decision. So imagine the community seeing that, and then seeing that this rando comes out of nowhere saying that he was going to join a verification from someone who just went through an extremely horrendous situation with zero permission. It's just like when Exen stole innards. Nobody was on Light's side, including Vernam, who denounced Light's action in its entirety. It's the last bit of decency I expected from Artyom since the bar is in hell at this point, but no worries, it can always get worse. In November, FX layout Belladonna got raided. The level itself isn't that controversial, though its rise from 50 to 26 was really funny. It's also around this time that Vernam would announce Cosmos Unleashed, a completely different level based on the unnerfed version of Cosmos, and on the progress that our Shadow made on that version. Naming a harder version of a level Unleashed is really funny and honestly a really unique. I'm going to give Vernam props to that one. Not that much though, as my critique for that level does not give him any favors. In December, information resurfaced about Vibrant DMing inappropriate messages toward a 16-year-old. Now, I'm not supposed to have any takes on this situation, as the last time I said something, it didn't end well, so I'll just say it like this. LexiCat, alongside 10 other community members, made a whole document related to the whole situation, though their own credibility and intention behind these leaks were also questioned, especially after Meg, the 16-year-old, started coming out with her rebuttal. After she came out with her last response and got a lot of people on her side, Vernam would come out of his goon cave to basically send a whole harassment campaign against Lexi, someone whom Vernam had beat for a long time by now. Since I can't say my takes in specific detail, here's how I'm going to say it. There are people who said that we, as a community, should apologize to Lexi. Now, I will apologize to her for the harassment, but will I apologize to her for her coverage? No. The Antics game would continue into 2024. Vernam would promote this thing called Tidal Wave Infinity, a Tidal Wave remake because at that point in time, that level has not been rated yet. Now personally, I think the idea of remaking a level that had just come out 5 months earlier just for it to be placed on the demon list is pathetic. Point and Click should have never been based off of rated levels in the first place, and their excuse to see more and more flimsy every day. It's probably why so many Russians love global demon lists more than Point and Click, as that list is actually more competitive in its nature, though the weird quality standard changes can be really dumb sometimes. Of course, as Tidal Wave would get rated a month later, nothing will ever came from this outside of some scattered progress here and there throughout 2024 and 2025. I'm very glad for it though, seeing as Tidal Wave is one of the more refreshing list demons I've seen in a while, and the Cherry Team version looks like literally any other boring Cherry Team level out there. Nothing more to note here, this is one of those cloud-hungry levels that spare Hop staying dead. In February, someone found out that this end screen of Cosmos was stolen from some other artist. Now, it wasn't some huge controversy since Vernam just got permission from that artist anyways and added credits, so it's like, whatever. What's a lot funnier though happened at the tail end of the same month. Vernam was getting into another spat, nothing out of the ordinary here. There was some iconic tweets though, like, I'm not fucking mad here. But what's truly stand out is when he started flexing his Rolex watch, really showing that Nepo baby wealth from those filthy Westerners.
Rolex, 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 Rolex.
Now, I'm not one to judge how one spends their own money, but if I had that Nepo baby cash, I'd probably go to Thailand, transition, get myself big boobs, BBLs, a face full of light lip fillers, a higher nose, smoother skins, higher legs, just those model off-duty vibes. And then I do nothing but jerk up every day in my room with nothing else. That would be my biggest flex, instead of being chopped and making videos documenting this guy. But hey, that's just me, In mid-March, Ambinas would unexpectedly come to a close, as Vernam cited harassment, I don't buy it, this dude has been fighting people for years, this is nothing new, or strict internet regulations in Russia, which I also don't buy. How else would this dude come back to Twitter a whole 2 years later to do the exact same thing he has been doing for nearly 6 years now? He get access and communication to Kolak for anything English related, which is really funny because that guy never ran this account even once. It's still Vernam that did all the works. Vernam does have some communication going regarding a video made by Whirlwind called Cherry Team Will Never Create a Masterpiece, a video where he basically criticized the underlying structure of many of the levels under Cherry, alongside Vernam's, let's just say, awful taste in art. Now personally, I do agree that paying for creators or verifiers isn't that problematic. I know that many creators would love to keep what they do entirely as a hobby, but I also know that many creators do want some level of rewards for what they do, and that we don't live in a time where collaborators pay each other in exposure and good vibes anymore. I don't understand why some people have these really strange kind of knee-jerk reaction whenever they see Arshal get his rent paid just to play Cosmos Unleashed.
But you have to understand, Cockmock Unleashed shouldn't exist. The verifier, what I've heard about Cockmock Unleashed is Vernam plans to pay the verifier to beat it based off hourly. Like a whole ass job to verify the level. This is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's straight up what I've heard. To play the level and get paid for it purely because they want to out and they'll pay by the hour. Or not by the hour, I don't know. Some payment method where you get money for playing the level. They also, the decoration is, they paid people to do it, and the verifier is getting paid to do it. Or so I've heard. I genuinely heard this like a few times. I don't remember where. So that's my issue.
If Vernam wants to give his money to these creators and verifiers just to get the job done, something that he has done for years at this point, then sure. Go ahead, I encourage it. What I don't encourage though, if anything, I think this should be heavily discouraged, is the way that money is fueling Vernam's self-serving tendencies. Vernam is not a host with good artistic vision, and frankly, every time he talks about it, it feels like some weird scientific concoction, a formula that is specifically meant to appeal to the lowest common denominator imaginable. It's like a math equation, a fact of the matter over what is objectively good or bad, which is strange because those are subjective descriptions, not objective.
I believe that saying that this is good is fucking stupid because it was made purposely to be bad. That's the idea. It uses a horrible color combination. It has been made without any effort. There is not any detail. It's
okay, but
it's
like
just
if something
shit,
was
man.
made without effort, that doesn't mean necessarily that it's bad, right? You can make something
If
without a
a
lot of
good
effort,
creator-
and it turns out good.
If a good creator doesn't put any effort, a good creator can make something better than a bad creator who actually puts effort.
Okay, but how would you
Because that's
quantify
about
that?
skill.
How would you be able to objectively measure that?
Objectively measure, I
Yeah.
can do this because of my experience in the first place. We talk about GD and we have our own standards. There is stuff which is generic, which is a bad tone to use. For example, a lot of garbage creators.
Okay. Why do I have to agree with your standards?
You
What
don't
makes
have
them-
to
what makes
agree
them
with
true?
my standards, bro. But
Okay, but what makes them objective then?
bro, I'm not talking that the standards are objective. I'm talking that the criteria are objective in this tweet because
Okay,
the
but why do I
standards
have,
are
why do I have to
subjective.
care about those criteria? Why do I have to care?
You don't have to care about anything,
so-
bro. But
so
you
you
are
agree with me.
tasteless if
So
you
you
don't
agree
care
with me.
about it.
Vernam had a debate with Warwin way back in January over their view of art, and needless to say, it was about as worthless as it gets. Just two people laying their points out, and by the end, no changes happen, no perspective deepen, no nothing. Not to mention he bitch out his debate with a no, yes guy too, so that's quite revealing, right? I will say though, the soullessness problem with cherryteam did seem to be a little bit less severe nowadays, seeing as their collabs in the past year have been a bit more unique in theme. I like Penumbro, I like Green Bullet, and I think Wild Rose is actually one of the most unique levels in WoW, so that is somewhat of an improvement. But just as there seem to be some levels that are a bit out of the cherryteam industrial complex that grinds and smashes every level they see into slop, there are also levels that are very much fucking garbage in their presentation. Of course, I'm talking about Cosmos Unleashed. Once again, after 8 months of work, the level would be introduced to the world in September 2024, and it looked worse than the original. You know, I didn't love the original Cosmos by any means, but at least that has some pretty clean parts. I like Kibi's part, you know, that was cool, but this? Oh god. The moment the drop hits, it's like the quality of the level fell off a cliff or something. It's just like a dizzying amount of camera movements and shaders meant to hide whatever you're even supposed to look at. I can't even be appreciative of certain parts of this level because you have barely any moment to breathe and take in anything. And by the time you get to the last part, which is the best part automatically because the mirror cube is kinda cool, the level has already ended already. There's a common sentiment that the ultra low detail version is better than the high detail version, just because it's actually playable, and yeah, I'm not going to pretend to be a contrarian here. I'm never viewing the full detail version ever again. Surprisingly, with this, the era of Vernam's trolling career against the international community would come to an end. Conflict still happens, of course. Vernam is a very confrontational person. In October, he would get into a pretty aggressive feud with another Russian YouTuber, Dima Nellis. It's actually quite a large story within RC since a lot of these guys have quite a big platform of their own, and it's also quite a mess as well. Nellis said some petty shit, then he apologized to Vernam a whopping 10 times. Then he copy strike and acted weird on Telegram. Then Titan Channel would just jump in to blow the situation wide open, and then he dropped a classic YouTube apology that omitted informations. I would have dived into this situation a bit deeper, but they all speak Russian, a language I don't understand, and in a year already as chaotic as 2024, this seemed a bit more underwhelming for Vernam than I thought.
Есть дела, поддержать своих всегда. Это вам не спать на парах с пятницы до
2025 turns out to be a surprisingly calm year for Vernam. Well, relatively, of course. Since most of his inciting conflict tendency is now behind the walls of Telegram, I didn't personally hear much of any real controversy from this dude. He even joined this content creation team named Infinity Squad, so basically it's Russia's TCD. Unfortunately, his tendency of fighting people wouldn't go away for too long. In August, Starchman and Jules would introduce to the world their version of Silent Circles. Now, we need to understand Vernam's relationship with this level, so let's rewind back to early 2022. This was when another Silent Circles remake was popular at the time, being Zinvire's version being verified by Dolphie. Now, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole in this video, but essentially Zinvire randomly gave this level to Zanny behind Dolphie's back with next to no actual reason whatsoever. There is this dude saying that it's a time limit, but take it with a grain of salt. Vernam being Vernam would insert himself into this situation, detailing Zinvire's past behavior of copy striking people and some other stuff, I don't really care. Anyways, this all culminates in a whole Zinvire diss track.
Zinvire обосрался, Zinvire обосрался, Zinvire обосрался, Zinvire обосрался, Zinvire обосрался.
Which I believe to be Geometry's third worst diss track ever created, behind C's Cyrillic diss track and this.
You think you would care, but to be honest, yeah, you just a bitch. Just touch it and a joke to you, yo, we can see your shit.
The fallout of this ended with Zinvire's giving the level to Vernam, though it was still verified by Zanny in a super nerf version, and ended up deleted off the server around a year later. Another year later, in 2024, a level named Silent Circles Infinity, yes, another Infinity type levels again, would be shown, albeit cancelled as they were making a new version closer to Zinvire's version than anything. And this is where the head-on collision happened. Starchman versions is closer to the original, but Cherry's version is closer to what the Zinvire's version is. So it's a remake of a remake. These two different takes on the exact same level are bound to cause some level of conflicts, and to no one's surprise, it did happen. Hate would be sent both ways, especially when Cyrillic actually jumped in to show his dislike of the Cherryteam version. Apparently this was supposed to culminate in a whole debate between Joe's, Starchman, and Vernam, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Not going to go too much more detail than this, since it's also had a lot of the same slap fighting behavior that we come to expect from Mr. Rolgeiza. But because he didn't have a Twitter account, he didn't give us too much comedy material to make fun of him for. As for the two Silent Circles level, the one by Cherryteam was given to Dolphie as retribution for what happened years ago, though that guy would never be able to beat any version of SC ever again because, you know. As for the Starchman versions, Jules would pass the verification to Dweeps, who is currently having major progress on that level. The situation would die out from there. In October, Dolphie would get exposed for exposing his dingling, though we'll already talk about that. In November, Mr. V for Vernam would return to Twitter under the name Nekoneyashka, a name he actually used to go by back in 2023. It should be noted that Vernam has had quite a few alter egos in his time. Back in January 2021, this dude went under the gender fluid name Amelia Groups, which is still Vernam's Minecraft username, and a whole level is dedicated to her under the Amelia Groups is the Empress, aka Ajite. Some people said that there's something a bit more sinister under this name, but man, you really need to stop fake posting, dude. There's also Joker, his Joker era, where he cosplayed your average YouTube cheater, just hacking a bunch of top ones in silent levels. And then there's Heart Machine, H4RD Machine, a name he didn't pick from a poll that asked people to change his username. Most people of course wanted Vernam, not whoever this is, but I guess that name must really have stuck for a little Hitler here.
Man, we still go bowling.
You double down! Nah, that's my man. We still go bowling.
Yeah, we don't condone that.
So, 2026. Huh. The year of our Lord. In February, one of Cherryteam top guys, popular showcaser and professional level leaker FMM04, would be exposed for a bunch of shit. Lots of it has something to do with roleplaying, manipulation, and doxing, just some real Nova Online type of behavior here. It should be noted that there were already signs of this kind of allegations back in June of 2025, but it's not until November that this info broke containment. 5 months later, FMM would start uploading for a brief moment, including one of the victim's own levels. What? This guy is actually unserious, I'm sorry. Of course, Vernam would white knight his way into this drama as well, outright claiming that this whole thing was fake and nothing happened, a claim that makes no sense when FMM himself said that what happened was real. But I suppose Artyom didn't want to lose his top showcaser or something, so that's awesome. FMM also didn't help himself when he responded to literally every tweet under his statement in March. What a fucking chud. In March, someone found out that in the Cosmos Unleashed 63% video, this could be found. Now, of course, in this day and age, pulling something like this will get people like a Kunakun telling you to kill yourself. But ultimately, this never goes beyond quick outrage since 1. It's the Russians, and 2. This is attached to the video, not the level in itself, as if that means anything. And now we've come to the latest controversy related to this guy, and easily the biggest one by far. As far as I know, this currently stands as one of the biggest dramas this game has ever seen, and created a rift that forever separates the already distant Russian community from everyone else.
You could go out downtown Atlanta on the fucking corner and suck a dick. Dangerous. Dick. Suck a dick.
Hey guys, my name is B, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're gonna make a troll beat. I'm a mama on the go. In Atlanta with the bros, that way down me a joke here.
Suck a dick.
Let's go.
And suck a
Ride around town with a brain stick. You still think about me, he should. Whoa. If I lose my mind, I think I should quit. Reverse that. I gotta get rich. And this bitch with my amigos. Me and couple months like the amigos. Let's shoot a door up like Rico. Me and couple, you know we did Chico. And this bitch with Triple T. I'm Superman, bitch. DUB. Bad bitch. Give me straight teeth. She said I don't ring.
Yeah, Cub ain't do his verse, I'ma do this shit for free. Yeah, Cub asked to hold a band, I told him hold 3. Call my ops plankton, they want the recipe. She let me crack, I said yippee.
This is for to you big fan, man. Fan, bitch. Why you took me out the motherfucking schedule with your trifling dirty work? Keep that bitch over body ass, bitch.
and suck a dick for that much money, bruh.
In order to understand all this, we need to understand the Russian community's hatred of Zoink. Yes, Zoink. The best player in the game and a liar for fun according to Vernam. You see, in the eyes of Russians, Zoink has been, let's say, undermining the second best player Kane Reddy's achievement ever since Amethyst was moved below TS2 and later even below Flame Wall. This has been the cause of many extremely cringe-inducing discussions, usually putting on Z Levi's achievements in the process. These smaller conflicts would escalate following the next top 1 verification, Society by Neo Marblelane and Verified by Popoff. Immediately, Zoink would be one of the first people to play this level. He made fast progress on the level, however, he didn't say that the quick progress came from his pre-practice on a hard version of this level for like 17 hours. And this is the crux of what about to happen next. Servax, one of Zoink's top critics and King Popoff's glazer, would post an AI-generated video of Popoff sucking Zoink's dick. Then logically would repulse that video, probably because he likes raping kids behind the scenes. Then when people looked at it and were like, hey, isn't this constituted as child porn? He blamed it on Sven for making the video. Now Sven, who was exercising his dark humor, would of course deny this. The fallout on day 1 was extremely tremendous. Servax is immediately banned for verifying some cherry team level I've never heard of. Him and Logically are permanently banned from Pointer Crate. Tremendous pressure was placed on these two guys. Vernam would irony threaten to make more AI-generated child porn either for prize or for fun. Now I personally believe this threat 100%, considering him and Lawed, another RC's top guy, already generated some extremely distasteful AI slop of Juniper with guitar or whatever. It's almost as if these guys wanted guitar to rape Juniper so that they could make fun of her for it. You got raped. You deserve it, bitch. We're like 1 or 2 steps away before that one Japanese girl get brought up again for these gay arguments. Day 2, many top players, including ones in the top 10, will leave Pointer Crate over jokes made at their expense from Jakob Nugget. We also see why so many Russians would side with Servax. Not until a real victim happens. Okay, I see. I respect that you guys do have a stance. Certainly better than the moronic joke behavior that you guys did before that. Now personally, I think it's a very stupid stance, considering people like Dolphie still have a platform like a couple months ago, and that he doxed people for years, and y'all failed to do anything about it. But hey, I'm not gonna judge too much here. It can't be going too hard around a 15-year-old, right? Anyways, the fallout of the situation has continued its ripples to this day, though as it turns out, I'm very tired of having to continue covering for this dude at this point. Even with a new Twitter account and being back to his rage-baiting behavior like usual, at this point in time, there's some real sign that this dude has truly fallen off. As I'm working on this video, Vernam has announced his leave again from cherryteam. I know that many people were jumping to celebrate this news like some kind of Hitler dead moment, but don't ever forget that this is something that has happened before. Back in 2022, 2021, and even 2020. But he always inevitably comes back. Even if he returns to cherryteam though, he's already past his trolling prime. Nowadays, all his best baiting gimmicks have become completely tiresome at this point. Him using the N-word, he's been saying that since 2022. Him siding with pedophiles, he's been consistently making fun of victims, accusers, and anyone that should probably stay out of his stupidity for the past 5 years at this point. Rage baiting is one of the only thing that this guy gets off in life. Not his wife, not the fame or fortune or whatever. There are only two things he jerks off to every night. Children doing the Anka dance and the angry people on Twitter. With Vernam leaving cherryteam, the new supreme leader is now grkiss, someone I've never heard of. I have a sneaking suspicion that this grkiss guy is just Vernam on an old, but hey, I could always be wrong. Maybe something new can be built from the rubble that this guy left behind. That Watt Rose level was a step in a good direction. While it's still having that trademark cherryteam over design block bullshit, it was the first level I've seen that has a clear team, a calming atmosphere, and some smooth transitions. It isn't like early cherryteam stuff, but it's still good. Keep doing this, cherryteam. I have some hope in you. Thanks for watching. Catch you all later.